Hello and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your coach Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
I need to talk to you.
Talk to me, man.
I need to talk to you, man.
Talk to me.
Because so the folks can know, we have not spoken footy yet in our interactions. You were in Chicago this past week.
Yeah.
I was in New York. And I'm sure that despite us being in different locations, we saw the same thing, man. We saw history be made on a football pitch, brother.
And I think we just saw Barcelona win the title. I think we just saw Barcelona win the title because it sure damn well felt like it, bro. The way that Barcelona was celebrating this win, but also what happened, man? 4-0 in the Bernabeu. Mm-hmm. The reigning Champions League winners, and Barcelona killed them 4-0.
No, they killed them.
And it could have been 5 or 6 if Lewandowski wanted his Hattie.
If he wanted it. He didn't want it, though.
He didn't want it.
He didn't want it.
He didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
He didn't need it
because he's got Wonder Kid, Lamine Yamal, right beside him, scoring on his weak foot and doing the calma,
Yeah.
I've arrived celebration. He's got guys like Gavi going up to Vinny Jr. and saying 4-0 in his fucking face. Mm-hmm. He's got guys like Marc Casado coming into the midfield and putting on a masterclass. Pedri assisting, playing a beautiful match. Iñaki Peña putting on an amazing goalkeeping performance. Cubarsí in his back line fighting his ass off for the Pichichi leader right now. Leva didn't need that hat trick, bro. Because at the end of the day, it was guys like Rafinha bodying Lucas Vazquez, chipping the goalkeeper, and giving Barcelona a 4-0 lead that has Barca fans feeling the happiest that I have seen them since we started this podcast and basically since Messi left the club, bro. This is the highest point for Barcelona because you're right. I think it defined it. I think it settled it. They're the favorites for sure, and I do think they're going to win the league now that they got this statement victory over Real Madrid.
All of what you just said about the highlights of each player is why it ended 4-0. It was a perfect performance from pretty much every single Barcelona player. But not only that, Barcelona have had complete performances since the beginning of this season under Hansi Flick's guidance. And so we said last week, we both had Barcelona winning this game.
It was crazy.
Even in the Bernabeu, even with Madrid, doing well against Dortmund, but this is Barcelona, man. And I think they showed everybody, the entire world, the class, the absolute class that every single player on this team possesses. And if anything, I think this is just a warning sign to the rest of Europe that Barcelona are looking to be one of the hotter teams in Europe. I think La Liga's pretty much settled. And I know. I'm not stupid. It's October. Right? I know, bro. It's October.
Yeah.
But they already have a 6-point lead over Madrid, the next best team behind them. And that next best team, they just killed 4-0.
Yeah.
I just think Barcelona have established themselves as the best team in Spain by a country mile. It's not even close. This result was just so emblematic of a team that is so dominant and that nobody else can really catch up to them, at least in Spain. So I think it's just really a sounding of an alarm to the rest of Europe that if you're going to play Barcelona in the Champions League, you're going to have to watch out because they're playing some of the most creative offensive football in the world.
Isn't that crazy though? Like how much Barcelona has advanced in the 2-3 months that Hansi Flick has had them, bro. Like genuinely, I think this has been one of the best coaching debuts that I've seen at the club level with how low they were going into the season to how they are now, dude. Like I truly do think they could be a contender for best team in the world right now. I think they're up there with Manchester City, with Liverpool. I think they could really challenge basically any team now.
Yeah.
And that is so insane to fathom, bro, because I mean, we were making jokes about Barcelona just not even a year ago, man, half a year ago. I mean, the whole state of football knew the situation that Barcelona was in financially and how they failed to make transfers in the summer. But what we're seeing now, the inclusion of how they were able to get the victory in this matchup with 7 kids, I believe, below the age of 21, kids from La Masia, kids that they grew and they nourished and they taught how to play the beautiful game of football. That's who went out and danced all around Real Madrid in the Bernabeu, bro. It wasn't some $100 million+ signing. It was kids, bro. It was La Masia talent. And I think that combined with Hansi Flick and what he's done with this team it just makes this statement a gargantuan one, a huge one that I agree we can't ignore it. Barcelona, I think, is truly back. And I just can't believe it's happened this quick.
Dude, that's exactly the same takeaway I had after this game. Because I really you look at the lineup and you're like, oh, wow, this team is so youthful, but it's all Barcelona products. It's crazy, man. Balde just getting an assist.
He was great.
Pedri, though not a Barcelona product, still so young. And then you have Lamine Yamal, that goal that he scored to make it 3-0. What a goal. It was an absolute banger. Roofed it. Blows it past Lunin, and that's just Yamal things. It's what he does. At this point in his career, at 17 years of age, that type of goal isn't shocking anymore, and that's scary. That is so terrifying. But that's the type of talent that Barcelona now possess. And then there's even more bit part players that are slowly becoming better and better and better, like Marc Casado. Yeah. With a really beautiful through pass to Lewandowski to open up the scoring 1-0. It was just a really quick, instinctive forward pass that broke Madrid's defense. But he's been doing it all season long under this role that Hansi Flick has given him, which is a really creative one, but he still has to track back and do a lot of work. So I just find it so impressive that all of these young players are playing like they've been playing the game for 10 years. And it's all come together to give us this product. Like you said, it's a feeling that I don't think as Barcelona viewers have felt in 10 years since Messi was at the club.
Exactly, dude. And we talk about narratives in football and how important they can be. The fact that they got this performance done just days after flipping the narrative on Bayern Munich, a team that has had their number in the club football scene for years now, man, for years, and they've had their number in a damn near insulting way, bro. The results that we've seen, 8 goals scored against at one point. Thomas Muller dancing all over this. The highs that we saw from Bayern against Barcelona were crazy. The fact they were able to get their revenge, essentially, the start of a new era just a few days ago, and in that same week, put 4 past Real Madrid. It's just insane. It's insane to me, and it brings me over to Real Madrid now, which is ultimately, what's the verdict on them, bro? Because we've been saying that we've been waiting for that moment of panic, that moment where we see everything kind of fall apart to truly admit that Real Madrid is a struggling team, because they've been struggling in the past. And it's why we made our prediction, I believe, because they've been in bad form. But I've been waiting for that, that hammer fist, that hammer blow to really show me that Real Madrid is a confusing team this year. Yeah. I think this result is it, man.
Dude, what a weird performance. This was a weird game, honestly, in the first half. And I think it was all because Madrid just got it completely wrong. In every category that you look when you rate a football game, Madrid got it wrong in every single way, bro. And I want to start with Mbappe, bro. Because I thought, personally, this was either the weirdest or the worst performance I've seen Mbappe since, he was a teenager at Monaco.
I don't think he ever played that bad at Monaco.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is the lowest I've ever seen him.
I agree.
He still scores the occasional banger, occasionally, but I think the performance that we saw against Barcelona is what we're getting used to now when it comes to Mbappe. And I think given that it was such a big game, it just seems so blatant in this match how far Mbappe has dropped, because he ended up being offsides 10 fucking times? Yeah. It just, even if it ended up was 4 or 5, when you look at every single play that Mbappe was offside, it was elementary, bro. It was so stupid. He was 2-3 full yards offside when he could see the defender in front of him, knowing where the line is, and he chose to just be blatantly offside, or at least on that wrong side of his defender. So I just saw it to be really stupid decision making from Mbappe's runs. When I look at Ancelotti's tactics, I kind of get it. Barcelona play a high line, right? They try and press you. They try and get the ball back very quickly. So a good way to beat that is to just, have a player peel off very quickly. Thing is, that's not Mbappe's game. Mbappe's game is when he can run into space with the defense in front of him. When he can see the defenders, he gets the ball, then he's very dynamic in that regard. But he's not a peel-away striker. He's not. Lewandowski is. That's how he got the first goal. Yeah. Lewandowski has the IQ. He doesn't have the mobility of Mbappe. Mbappe has the mobility, not the IQ of Lewandowski. But Ancelotti asked him to play a high IQ game, and we got this really stupid-looking performance from Mbappe, in my opinion. I thought it looked horrible because
100%,
it was so bad. Every single every single forward ball was just offside. And Barcelona was just making Madrid look honestly kind of foolish.
No, 100%, dude.
Foolish.
This also goes to credit Barcelona. They've drawn the most offsides in all of Europe right now at like 76, I believe. I'll show the graphic. And second place is Brighton with 36.
Hey, shout out
Double.
Brighton.
They've drawn double the offsides in all of Europe right now with their high line. Yeah. And that was something that was curious going into this match was, were they going to stick with that with guys like Mbappe, Vinny, Bellingham that are so dangerous on the counter, so dangerous on the attack? I like that they made that their identity. They said, fuck it, we're going to go for it. We're going to go to dominate in the Bernabeu. And they did so because to expose Mbappe in the process, man.
Yeah.
I think the correct number was 8 times. He got caught offside 8 times, bro. And for me, it was a lack of awareness. And you're right, you already mentioned it, but he did not have the awareness to see that a guy was far up above him and it was going to be offside if he received it, so much so that he receives these passes and then he has the nerve, the audacity to continue dribbling, thinking that it's going to get called onside at some point, bro. It's ridiculous what I saw from him. But personally, when it comes to Mbappe, man, I've been really disappointed in like the past 8 months of Mbappe ball, bro. I think the starting point was those knockout stages with PSG this past Champions League when they went to the semifinal. Yes, he got his goals, but if you see how he got a lot of those goals, they weren't in the classic Mbappe way, and they're pretty much easy finishes. So that was already kind of giving us a sign. And I would say essentially went ghost in the semifinal versus Dortmund.
Yeah.
Went ghost. That was your first warning sign. The Euros, what a mess. What a mess. Sure, he had an injury to his nose and whatever, but he still played the games. I don't think it really impacted his performance after what I've seen now this season.
Yeah.
That version of Mbappe is the same Mbappe that exists now, which is a really weird Mbappe. One that has me thinking might have peaked when he was 18 years old, bro.
Yeah.
Because he's 25 years right now, surrounded by some of the best players in all of world football. And he's putting up performances like these, bro. This isn't the first time we've seen this either, where he kind of just puts up a goose egg in a match, bro. You're right. He gets the occasional banger, but I think if you're playing for Real Madrid, you will get that opportunity because you always are the better team against basically any other team that isn't Barcelona.
Yeah.
But, man, I've been disappointed. I've been disappointed in Mbappe, and I'm a little glad he got exposed on a stage this big because if this isn't a wake-up call for him, then I don't know what will be.
And I get worried about that because this has been an 8-month dip in form. And if you look at Mbappe, he's got to know that. He's got to recognize that his play, even at PSG, has fallen. He had a horrible summer. This has been a very strange start to the season. I think he knows that. And the fact that he has not changed it over the course of the last 8 months, I find very, very concerning, right? Usually a player of this caliber has a couple of droughts, here and there, but nothing lasting more than 3-4 months. We're getting on 12-month territory here. If this form continues into the winter, then I'm very, very concerned about Mbappe's prime.
Yeah.
His prime, bro, physically. And so I even was kind of lenient on him when his form started to dip at PSG because I was like, yeah, I'm going to give a player like 6 months. Maybe he's just going through a weird time. But once we start getting to that year period where he just can't figure it out, then I'm going to be like, all right, what is actually happening here?
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
It's very concerning.
And I'll also look at someone like Vinny in this game, who I don't think was as bad, but there was one moment in the first half where he had an opportunity that was golden that he had created. It was amazing. A beautiful touch in the box as he's on the run. Classic Vinny, cuts in perfectly. It's a simple shot into the back of the net. If he just can aim it right, and he puts it wide left and low. I thought that was very surprising from the form that we've seen Vinny in to not show up in this match versus Barcelona, knowing how big this stage is. I thought it was tailor-made for Vinny. When he missed that, I was like, something's off, man. Something's off with this Real Madrid offensive line.
Yeah.
And it just continued to show itself this entire game because ultimately they got shut down by this Barcelona defense, man. And I think that's where we got to go next is with all the hype that a guy like Lamine Yamal gets for how good he is at 17 years old. Barca is doing the exact same thing, but with a backline center back product in Cubarsí alongside Inigo Martinez, who I think both deserve major, major credit for how they stepped up, and even the fullbacks too, bro. Koundé and Balde, I think, putting in incredible performances as well. Barcelona's defense is the real deal. I think that's a big part of what's making their success.
Yeah, and Barcelona's defense, this whole back line was really good starting last year. So I think they've just continued their really good defensive form. Now what's clicking is that midfield motion and Rafinha being handed the keys to just run the offense. He's playing a free flow winger position. So I just think the offense is what Flick has really changed. But yeah, the defense is still absolutely phenomenal. I got to go back to Madrid though, man. I have to, just because I just thought it was such a poor performance. Not just the front line with Vinicius having some weird touches, some weird moments, and Mbappe not doing anything. Bellingham too, I thought was just off. He wasn't. His touches were really sloppy, and he would get in good positions, but that usual golden touch that he has just simply was not there. And the midfield for Madrid, I thought, was horrible. There's nothing. Barcelona just had better ideas. They had a lot more synergy when they would get on the ball and pass, whereas Madrid, it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed unimaginative. It just seemed honestly fatigued a little bit, like they were kind of tired. Valverde, I think, Valverde has been good this season, but I think what's really shocking me is how important Kroos was to this team, because Valverde is a very big energy guy. He'll be your box-to-box midfielder, and he's very good on the ball. But what I'm noticing is last year and the last couple of seasons, when Madrid's midfield had no ideas, first thing they would do, go to Toni Kroos. First thing they would do. And what a guy to give the ball to, because from there he can make any decision work. But now when they get on the ball, they don't have that general to look to. I thought Camavinga, Tchouaméni, while they are good defensively, when they get on the ball, they don't really do much with it, man. And what they used to do was give it to Toni Kroos.
Yeah.
That's what they used to do. So it worked because they would be those dogs and ball retrieval, and then they could give it to Valverde and give it to Toni Kroos. Now when they get it, they can try to give it to Vinicius, they can try to give it to Mbappe, but if that front line's not working, they don't have any midfield creativity. So I think right now the midfield's suffering greatly from Madrid. I think it's why they've been really weird this season, because they have such a gaping hole that they have not replaced. And then the Mbappe effect, I think, has really messed up Madrid's offense right now. So you get this weird product where, yeah, Madrid are better than most teams, but when you pit them against, very good teams like Dortmund in that first half, or Barcelona over the course of 90 minutes, you get really bad results.
This Madrid team feels like a team that doesn't have those adults around them anymore.
Right.
It's weird because now it's just, quote unquote, the kids playing with. Courtois was out in this game. Carvajal out in this game. Kroos in this game. I mean, not a single, veteran in that back line, in the midfield, or up top anymore. It's just guys with a whole bunch of potential. And I think that's where they got exposed, because I think Barcelona came with a game plan. I think they had a much better tactical plan going into this game. And Real Madrid in the bigger matches so far this season have shown that they look a little lost, man. A little lost for ideas and too reliant on individual quality and talent, which is why I highlighted that Vinny opportunity, because if that doesn't go in, then what can you actually generate? What can you actually do, especially if Mbappe's going through whatever type of phase he's going through, man?
Yeah.
It's really, really, I think, interesting, but I think finally I'm buying into the idea that Real Madrid will struggle to lift the Champions League or La Liga, counter to what many people, including ourselves, thought would happen once they made the Mbappe signing. I think we underestimated the losses of Toni Kroos, and then, of course, Carvajal getting injured. No one can predict that, but that's going to have a major impact on this team. And Ancelotti's been weird too, man. I think Ancelotti's been really, really weird, man. He got a little egotistic on the sidelines too, telling Hansi Flick's assistant to keep quiet or watch his mouth.
Yeah.
I think the whole team is just on a really weird wave right now that I don't see ending with silverware, which is crazy to say for Real Madrid, but this has to be a wake-up call for them, because otherwise Barca is running with the league and they look like genuine Champions League contenders. I can't believe I'm saying that, man. I can't believe I'm saying that 2 months into the season.
Dude, same. Because that's why this result just seems so big, because I just feel like we got so much told to us from this result, truly. What is interesting, though, no Rodrigo, right? I do want to mention that, because if you do look at it, he is just as important as Bellingham or Mbappe, and almost as important as Vinicius. Like, he really is an absolute baller. So his absence, I thought, was dearly felt. But that's the thing. That's what's going to make Madrid so interesting this year, because let's say Rodrigo did play. They maybe could have gone up 1-0 in the first half. because they did stretch Barcelona's defense, especially in the first 20 minutes at times. It wasn't consistent. It was very sloppy. But outside of Mbappe, Vinicius was able to craft a couple of chances. Now imagine if Rodrigo was doing the same thing on the other side. I do think Madrid could have done something if they, have their best players on at all times. That's what makes Madrid such an interesting team this year, because I think a lot is going wrong for them. And I'm with you now. I don't think they're going to really figure it out anytime soon. But the sheer quality that they possess, I think, will always keep them in any game. It was 0-0 going at halftime. Mm-hmm. It was 0-0, even though it was a really poor performance from them. So I just think Madrid are going to be a bit of a paradox this season, where they're going to struggle. They're not going to have the same faces like Toni Kroos to control games, but given their sheer offensive players that they have, I think they'll still be able to beat anybody. I think they're not a league team at all this year. I still think they'll still be deadly in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that can't be denied. I can't deny that. I do think I'm going to hop on board with the idea that if Barca maintains their health and they get matched up with Real Madrid in the Champions League, I would still go Barca at this point.
I hope that happens.
I hope
crazy, that happens, man. Bro. They kill them in La Liga and in Europe.
Oh, man. For me, what just stands out is it was 4-0, bro. And it could have been 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. I just haven't seen a statement like this from Barca in such a long time, man. I didn't know statements like these could be made post-Messi Ronaldo rivalry. Yeah. But what we saw was in the most hyped up El Clasico since those two played, we saw Barcelona completely show out on the rivals' pitch. And I gotta succumb to that statement. I have to give credit to that. I have to be on board with what that statement says, which is Barcelona at the very least has Madrid's number now.
Yeah.
And it's scary sight. Yeah. Scary sight.
It's going to be really fun to watch Barcelona now, knowing that this new generation, this new Barcelona team is the real deal. Like, you look at a team like Manchester United, who were at the same heights as Barcelona around the same time, between 2010 and 2014, right? It's gone so horribly wrong for United. They've tried so many different tactics to recreate those same heights over 15 years ago, and they still have yet to even get close to figuring it out. Barcelona, I think, have figured it out. And I think with this result, they've proved that. They are back to the top of European football, Barcelona. Yeah. It's so impressive that they've been able to do it again with all of these youngsters. And then you bring in good players like Rafinha, and they're just playing the best football of their lives. And Lewandowski, what a veteran also to have. He's like the Toni Kroos, but striker version, truly. Yeah. So I just think Barcelona have built an incredible team. And then the ability to get a coach like Hansi Flick in the offseason, it's just all coming together so beautifully for Barca right now.
That's what I think I really like about Barcelona. I'm not a Barca fan, I'm not a Madrid fan. I don't have a La Liga team. But what I like about Barca and the space they occupy in the football genesis is what they represent. La Masia talents, kids right now, and what they're going through financially. Disregarding that, playing good, organic, natural, tiki-taka football and winning games by doing that, I think is so cool to see. And it's why I'm starting to see so many Barca fans out on the streets, bro. I'm starting to get so many Barca fans in the DMs. Truly, bro. I think they were in hiding. They were in hibernation for years. And definitely for the length that we've had the podcast, man. Like, Barcelona has always been bad during that tenure. I think finally we're seeing Barca fans come out of the woodwork, but they're so passionate. They're so passionate because of what they represent. I understand why people would want to be Barca fans is because of just that beauty that they occupy. But what we're seeing now, I think, fully represents that. Without a guy like Messi, without guys like Xavi or Iniesta, GOAT-like talents in the midfielder offense, this is just good football. And I love it. I love it. I'm excited to see what all they can do this season. It better end in trophies, though.
Oh, yeah.
Better in the trophies.
Really,
right?
they're playing
taking
so
this shit back.
well. I really do think they're going to win La Liga at this point. And also, just slightly off topic, but I need to mention it. Market.
Yeah.
What is it?
No, yeah. The Soltero rule.
October 27th at 3:20 p.m. Central Time, Atletico officially out of the title race.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there publicly. So Honestly, I think this is good for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about Atleti as much anymore.
No.
I'll catch their Champions League games. I'll still, obviously I'm still going to watch them. But from a podcast perspective, viewers, you can rest peacefully now knowing I'm probably not going to mention Atleti as much because the gap is 10 points now between us and Barcelona, the league leaders.
And what's your rule? Just so you can remind people who maybe are new to the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 points. If the gap is 10 points, I see that gap as insurmountable in European football.
That's European football now.
There's been an addendum to the rule. Outside of European football, it's a 13-point gap now.
Oh, okay.
13-point gap.
Okay. Well, and the addendum was made because for the first time in our lives, we saw that rule be broken. With Botafogo losing a God knows how many points lead last year to Palmeiras, which is more than 10. That results in the addendum. I'm with you. I'm down. I'm down for it. But 10 points, once I saw that, I was like, fuck, man, that happened quick. Happened quick,
bro.
It happened quick. But
I think this is the quickest. And I just wanna say, so we lost to Real Betis today, 1-0. I'm not gonna do any game analysis.
No, don't.
Ez Azuli balled out, by the way.
Oh, good.
Great to see Abde Ez Azuli, forced the goal. Ruibal was fantastic. Just Betis were playing really good football. Honestly, this should have been a 3-4-0 win for them. Like, Atletico just got lucky. But what I saw today is what I've seen from Atletico the last 6 goddamn weeks. We're just an above average team right now, right? And that's fine, because if we play an average team, we'll beat them. But if we play against any team that outplays us in any way, we're not winning. We're not going to win.
No.
And there's a lot of teams out there, all right, that can play intense football, and we cave every time this season.
Yeah.
So the league's over for Atletico. And honestly, man, especially in this game, the way the players looked, the way Simeone looked, I think we realized we're not even going to get close to touching silverware this year. I think there's no hope in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We lost the league today. We'll never win the Copa del Rey. We're historically poor in that tournament. So it's October, and we're not going to get close to silverware at the end of the year, dude.
That's the dichotomy of La Liga football, man. You got Barca fans on top of the world and Atleti fans in the dust right now because we mentioned this month was going to be a month of sentencing for Atleti, but then also for Liverpool. And I think we have two very contrasting results right now with essentially the funeral, the death of Atleti this season. Bro. And with Liverpool, I mean, the life at the end of the day, because they end up getting a point out of this match against Arsenal. 2-2 result at the Emirates Stadium. A game where Liverpool had to come back not once, but twice and found a point in this match. Arsenal getting goals through Bukayo Saka. Amazing, I would say world-class goal with a touch and finish. We'll dig into that. Mikel Merino getting his first goal for Arsenal as well. And Liverpool finding Van Dijk through a corner and Salah on a counter through a Darwin Nunez assist. Great game, man. Great game. But as a Liverpool fan, I'm going to just start off by saying, happy to leave it with 1 point.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think what really impressed me about this game, Liverpool are so clinical. Dude. They probably do the most with the least amount of possession, and probably all of European football, because this version of Liverpool under Arne Slot isn't as pressurized in the final third. They don't knock it around the box and just bombard their opponent's 18-yard. They don't do that anymore. It's a lot more balanced approach. And so what that means is there's just less deliveries, there's less combination up top. But y'all are still scoring at the same rates? It's insane, man. We saw the game last week. I think it was actually a popular opinion from most pundits that Chelsea played the quote-unquote more beautiful football. But Liverpool won the game. Yep. Liverpool also shut out Leipzig, who are
similar thing.
top of the Bundesliga.
But we got the goal.
1-0. Same thing today. Arsenal, amazing first half. I do think they let off a bit in the second half, but it didn't matter. Liverpool found a way twice, both times. Liverpool found the space, and when the chance came, they buried it. It's so impressive. So I think what we've seen over these last 3 tests from Liverpool is that they're up for it, man. And I think it's led by world-class defending and clinical finishing.
For sure. No, I agree. I think This match specifically is interesting because I wouldn't say that we played poorly in the Chelsea game. I wouldn't say we played poorly in Leipzig's game. But in this game, I thought we played poorly, man. You're right, though. We're very clinical and ultimately show that the quality and class of Liverpool can always prevail. But I was disappointed with our first 70 minutes in terms of effort, in terms of energy. I mean, Arsenal was outrunning us that first half, basically, man. They dominated us, but we were so clinical off that counter to bring it back 1-1. They were so clinical in that opportunity where Arsenal just switched off, essentially. And Darwin Núñez found space, and he finds Mo Salah. But that was my concern while watching this game, was that we weren't matching Arsenal in intensity. That was my only concern. But we got away with that at the end of the day because we found the opportunity. We generated the opportunity, and we got the goal. I don't know. I'm not going to say that this is going to be a recurring theme or pattern. I don't think it was that. I think this is a one-off thing. But for this match specifically, I thought Liverpool just did not play up to their best levels or standards. And we're lucky, in my words, to get a point out of this match, given that, this could have ended in a loss, honestly.
It could have, but I just think the way Liverpool play football, this is it. Like, I just think the style of offensive football is so different that it can lend itself to results like this. But Liverpool are so good that they're not losing. Do you see what I'm saying? Because even in that game against Chelsea, I thought Chelsea outplayed Liverpool for 50 minutes. Like, truly. Because I
feel like Arsenal outplayed us more today, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. But I think Chelsea also outplayed Liverpool for a good half.
For sure. But we were more up for it in that game. We saw it. That's why we were able to flip the result. We weren't able to do that in this game because once it was tied 1-1, we sat back and Arsenal came at us, dude.
But
they're dominating the midfield, dude.
You still got the result, though.
We got a tie. We got a tie. I think initially I was hoping for the result to be a win, like how it was in that Chelsea game. But ultimately having to settle for the tie, I think, is a result because in the title race, that is going to be a good point.
Yeah.
But I wanted to beat Arsenal today, man. I wanted to beat them. And I just don't think we, as a whole team, went in with that mindset. We went in with the mindset of, if we get a point here, we're good. And that's what we got.
I'm arguing that's how Liverpool play now, though. As in, I think this is their approach. This is the Arne Slot approach. This is how it's going to be for the rest of the season. But what has impressed me is that it is working. Y'all aren't losing. Y'all just not losing.
We're not.
So
we're not.
I just think it's so impressive that it is working at this rate.
For sure.
Obviously, there's a little bit of luck involved, but I really do think you make your own luck in football. I really do think so. Yes, Arsenal probably outplayed y'all, but the way the second half ended up going, Arsenal died out in the last 20 minutes.
For sure.
They gave everything in the first 70. Liverpool was able to ultimately absorb enough, and that's when Liverpool hit out. That's when it worked. So I just think this is the approach of Liverpool right now. It's working, bro, because it's keeping Arsenal from winning. Liverpool are not losing. And to be completely honest, I didn't see Liverpool as a true title contender. But the way that they're playing, I think it's going to be very tough to beat Liverpool. I really do. They're defensively, they're impressing me.
Oh, yeah, no, they're amazing defensively. And it took a beautifully whipped in ball from Declan Rice, set piece magic to break the deadlock to make it 2-1. And then it took Bukayo Saka excellence to get Cook and Andy Robertson. My God, in the process. It took some really great moments from Arsenal to even just get a goal on us. So I agree with all that. I agree. We're going to be very, very tough to beat. I think I just have a high ceiling for what I think this Liverpool team can do. And I think that in the past, we go in and we get 3 points out of this matchup. In the Firmino, Sadio Mane days. The fact that we didn't really go in with that mindset today is the only thing that's holding me back from fully praising them because we didn't go in with that killer mindset that we used to have. And I don't think that's Jurgen Klopp's football. I think that might have been down to the guys being a little fatigued because we've been getting results for the past 3 months, man.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a factor. Maybe the energy, at least from my perspective, I thought it was a little lower from the team. But we still got the point, and I'm happy with it. And I think moving forward, this team is going to be really, really fun to watch. They're going to remain a contender in the Premier League. This was a good point to have. And I'm now excited for this matchup in Anfield as well because I want to see how Arsenal looks with Odegaard back, with Saliba back, and just getting their top team in form too.
And that's actually another point of contention. And it's so tough because injuries are just a thing of football, but my God, man, like I will say Arsenal a little unlucky. Like let's just say that Arsenal are unlucky, bro.
Can I get a little bias here? Technically, Liverpool's missing more players.
No, we're not going there, bro. We're not going there.
Alisson, that's a starter.
That's one.
Harvey Elliott. He could start.
He could
start.
But he's not a
Yeah.
starter.
For sure. And then just two fun ones. Chiesa's injured. We don't have him as a bench option.
We need to talk about Chiesa, by the way, but that's after. That's after. Chiesa, I'm not counting him though. That's one. You still give me one. You still give me one.
He probably wouldn't have played this game. Connor Bradley.
Again, also could definitely start and will when he's healthy. He will start. But is he a starter?
Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
Diego Jota.
That's one.
Okay, so that's two starters.
That's two starters.
That's two starters for sure. Whereas Arsenal's missing Odegaard. And that's it.
Saliba.
Not injury.
No, but he was not here today, right?
Yeah, but that's their own fault. I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking
injuries.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I just don't want you to use the injury card on me, man.
No.
I'm sensitive about that.
but the idea that the players missing, Arsenal's getting absolutely screwed over, right? No Saliba. Also, Gabriel went off injured in the 60th minute.
Dude.
And guess who also went off 10 minutes later? Timber.
Yeah.
Right? Urian Timber. So that's 3 players already not like just gone. Yeah. Just completely gone. Not in this match. Mm-hmm. So I think that's very unlucky from Arsenal. Also, Calafiori's injured as well. Mm-hmm. That's 4 massive misses. Saliba's not injured, but you're right. I won't count that, but he was not here today. So ultimately, when Liverpool got that second goal, it was 2 substitute center backs in position.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Now, it can't be used as an excuse because it's not. It's not an excuse. I just think it's unlucky circumstance. But you got to play what's in front of you. And
they did, though.
And they did.
Credit to Arsenal. I thought they played great.
They did play well. Yeah. And Merino's had to come in and play a role that Odegaard does masterfully. Merino's not even close to Odegaard's technical ability, but I thought he's played the way that Merino plays, and he's done well. He's done well in that sub position starting for Arsenal these last 4 matches. So what is happening for Arsenal is a little unlucky, but they're doing what they can with it. And ultimately, I think a draw for Arsenal ends up being a good result because Liverpool can just hit at you so hard and so quick as they did today. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the way the game was ending, Liverpool maybe could have snuck in a third goal.
Yeah, no, 100%. We could have. I was hearing the commentators say before the match that this is one of the biggest games in Mikel Arteta's career for where the state of Arsenal is right now. They lose this game, they're out of the title race.
So bad.
They're out of it completely, and they win it. I mean, they're back in it. The momentum with the guys that they don't have, the confidence that's good give to the team. I also think getting a tie is good here. It's good, and it just keeps them within punching range. So yeah, 2-2, you take it. This game had drama. This game had offsides. It had VAR checks. It had amazing class and quality. It had some really good matchups. I thought Thomas Partey was great against Luis Diaz. Yeah. Getting him subbed off in the 60th minute, and Gakpo couldn't do much against him either. I thought there were some really good performances all across the pitch. But it ends 2-2, and I think it ends up being a really big matchup in this race for the title because Liverpool maintains second place now behind Manchester City by 1 point, and Arsenal is now in third with 18, and Aston Villa right behind him, Chelsea right behind him, even Brighton and Nottingham Forest now right behind them too. So, yeah, I think big result for both teams at the end of the day.
Yeah, big result because I think 5 points, like you said, is within punching distance. So I think Arsenal are still very well in the title race. But yeah, I was very nervous for Arsenal going into this game because a loss would have been devastating, man. 2 back-to-back losses would have been so detrimental to just their mental health.
That's what I'm saying.
It would have been so bad.
Winning 1-0 against, who was it? Some measly, is it Dutch team or something at the Champions League?
Oh, Shakhtar, Ukraine.
Shakhtar, yeah. Beating them only 1-0 and the injuries going in, Liverpool's form. I thought this was shaping up to be a Liverpool beating. And the fact they avoided that, I think, ends up being a dub in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
Credit to them. Arsenal, Liverpool, 2-2. What a match.
But also when it comes to just like this, let's call it unluckiness that Arsenal have, Timber is injured again. And he was out all last year, right? He starts the beginning of this season, immediately gets injured. He's fresh and he immediately gets injured.
That is true.
Comes back finally after a couple weeks rest, gets recovered, goes off injured in this match. I think he's chronically injured, and he's basically not playable. Mm-hmm. You can't play him. You
play him when you have him, and then you just
and then once a month
you accept when he's gone.
Once a month, as in like, it's just so unfortunate because when he does play, he's fantastic. What an engine to have in that left center back or left back role, bro. And the fact that he's chronically injured, he's basically just not going to be an Arsenal player. Like, He's going to be there, kind of. But if he's this injured, he's just never going to really play. And it's just so disappointing for Arsenal, for Arteta, for the team, for depth reasons, and for Timber himself, man, because that's his profession. He can't even do it.
Yep.
He can't even play. It's just so unlucky.
Yep.
On Liverpool's side, have you heard the drama going around Chiesa?
Drama?
Yeah.
Let me think. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's like talks that he just can't get up to Premier League pace.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like Arne Slot almost wants to get rid of him in January and not even use him.
Wow. I believe it, though.
I believe it, too.
I believe it, too. I understand why the price tag attached to him was very low, because it's a low risk, high reward type situation. But in order for him to really ball out, I think he needs minutes. He needs opportunities. He's not going to get that with this front line. He has to be a super sub, essentially, and play that role happily. But I don't think he has the skill to really be able to do that consistently, at least from what we've seen so far. And if his health isn't helping him either, then there's not much for him to find here at the Premier League. I like the approach, though, trying him out. But if this is what it continues being, then so be it. I think we are fine without him, but it would have been nice if we had a Chiesa depth piece as part of our offensive line.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Like, just purely for depth, if he was, like, okay with it. But, yeah, he just ultimately, I don't think, is up to par technically with the rest of Liverpool's offensive line. So he just ends up being not used.
It's annoying because it feels like that's what the Italians were saying about him, too. And said, man, he basically got played out of that offensive line as well.
Yeah.
And so if he's not up to par in the Prem, not up to par in the Serie A, what's he up to par to, man? Liga MX?
Right. That's the thing. Like, low-key, maybe he comes to the MLS after this, man. Which is really disappointing because his peak was so good. He was really entertaining. You could see the potential that Chiesa had. I mean, he was fantastic in the Euros 4 or 5 years ago or whenever it was, in 2021. So 3 years ago. But just to see him not even play anymore, pretty shocking.
We'll see. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens in the next few months, if he gets any other opportunities. But if he doesn't, then I'd basically be okay with getting rid of him in January and just seeing what else we can get. We for sure need to look at a fullback position, man, because a lot of Liverpool fans, I think, have been really hard on him, but I have seen a slight decline in Andy Robertson specifically. Not nearly as attack-minded as he used to be, which I think is fine. I think Slot has, in a way, done that because we've seen the same from Trent Alexander-Arnold, but there is a bit of pace that has been lost with Andy Robertson, and that's a big trait of his that I think made him one of the best fullbacks in the game, was his pace and how he could get physical with basically any winger and keep up with them. But when he doesn't have that pace with him, bro, he gets blown by, and it's what ultimately gave the edge to Saka, which then gave him the opportunity to just get that nice touch in, get megged in the process, and boom, golazo. I don't want to be too hard on him because that was a class goal, but this whole season, I have seen him a step slower, and I've seen Slot now have to rely on putting Tsimikas in for him, like we saw today, which is something that did not happen in the past, bro. So I think looking for a fullback to add to more depth in that position will be big, because for Trent, we have Connor Bradley. But for Andy Robertson, we got Tsimikas, but I just get a little worried there about health concerns and just, adding more depth. So that's what I would look at as well if I was Arne Slot.
Yeah. And just to finish Liverpool's tactics, because, again, I'm just so impressed with how well it's working. The commitment of the midfield, man, to just not stop running. Like, I know it was a feature with Klopp. I just thought it was different because it was more of a press. It was more of a, like, get the ball back immediately and then move forward with numbers. But this is just more of like pure work rate. Just more like pure muscle, pure mind mentality of stay strong, be in the right position, be smart about when you press, when you don't. It's more balanced, slightly more boring, if you will, maybe, but just the effectiveness, man. You said Hansi Flick might have the best debut of a coach in a long time. Honestly, the way Arne Slot has started with this Liverpool side, it's their best start to a season ever.
True. That's true.
Ever. They only have one loss in the first, 15 matches? It's the best start of Liverpool's history, and it's under Arne Slot's debut. So I think Hansi Flick for sure, he's, I would say, the best debut so far, but Arne Slot's right underneath him.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about matchups I want to see Barcelona get into now that I've seen what they can do to Real Madrid. I think a Barcelona-Liverpool matchup would be so dope to see, man, especially like in February or March, Champions League knockout stages. That'd be amazing matchup between two debutant coaches, in their first year with these clubs, and all the players, all the names. I think it'd make for an incredible matchup. But that's crazy, man. Arne Slot, what a start he's had, man. What a start. Just taking the keys from Jurgen Klopp and igniting the engine that is this Liverpool team. I've been so impressed with them, and I'm on board with the slot machine. I'm happy to keep it rolling, keep it going, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from this Liverpool team as they continue going down this path of really tough stretch of games and showcasing that they are the real deal in terms of title contenders in both the Premier League and the Champions League.